A very good evening and welcome to Monday Night Football, a show where we talk all matters football. With me, Host Mohamed Abubakar. It's been an action-packed weekend of football all over the world. We'll be talking the FA Cup, we'll be talking La Liga, Serie A, all your favorite leagues, and of course, lots of transfer deals to talk about in this January window, of which we'll be shutting down in a few days' time. Thursday, to be specific, we'll be discussing all that. And of course, midweek action in the English Premier League, we'll be taking a look at that as well. You can be part of the conversation. The hashtag is MNFKE. Social media handles will be appearing at the bottom of your screen. For the next 55 minutes or so, we'll be talking a lot of football with these two gentlemen, Anthony Kimani and Fred Arocho. Welcome back.
Thank you.
How has Tanzania been?
Lovely.
Lovely.
Very warm and very lively.
Fantastic. It's good to have you back, Fred. We'll start off with the oldest national football competition in the world, the FA Cup. Fourth round where Arsenal kicked it off and were gunned down by Manchester United. 3-1. That one. Anthony, your reactions, I can see you already laughing. More misery for Arsenal.
Oh, definitely.
At the expense of Manchester United.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
How bad can it be?
And if there's one team that you never really want to beat, it has to be your rival.
Yeah.
I mean, and for the past 6 matches, Manchester has been getting the better of Arsenal at the Emirates, and I think that just rubs off all Arsenal fans the wrong way. As I said last week, you never really know what to expect from this Arsenal side. You know, when you really think that they're going to lose, they end up pulling a surprise and, of course, getting a win. And then when you think that they're good enough to get you know, a decent result, things turn around and they turn around for the worst, because a 3-1 scoreline is not a really good scoreline, considering the fact that you're playing at home at a competition that you've been doing so well, because for the past 5 seasons they've managed to win it 3 times. So I expected Arsenal to really do well in this particular competition. Again, look at the Manchester side that was fielded. It was more or less you know, players that have not been playing you know, week in, week out. Sanchez, you could think that this is a player that has been playing, because he seemed so sharp, and the only reason why he seemed that sharp is because he was being given the space, and a lot of these players are players that know Sanchez very well. So I expected them you know, to ensure that Sanchez did not have any space at all to do the damage that he did in this particular match. But you know, Lukaku, I wouldn't say Lukaku is a really creative player, but then again when you're given acres of space, even if you're not one of the smartest players, even if you're not one of you know, the most creative players, you're going to pull off a lot of surprises. And we saw Lukaku contributing to 2 goals in this particular match.
I mean, if you can make Lukaku look like Lionel Messi, there's definitely a problem with your defense. We'll come and talk about that shambolic defense from Arsenal. But again, your overall view on this particular game, Fred?
Well, I think Arsenal is on is going down psychologically. They cannot hold anymore. And I think it's just about 2 or 3 weeks late than usual, because usually Arsenal crumbles during Christmas. They did so well during Christmas, and everybody expected them to proceed on with the season with that kind of push. But I think the defense is their weak link so far. Look at the goals that came in, a difference of 149 seconds apart. And you realize those were the only 2 shots on goal that Manchester United made. At
the first half.
In the first half, yes. The first 2 shots on goal were all went in.
Goals.
There were a difference of 148 seconds. So basically that one can tell you the kind of character in that defense. I think the character is lacking. Leadership is also lacking in that defense. I used to like the way Campbell used to do his stuff in that defense. You could realize that at times the team was not ticking, but you could see the urge, you could see the push that used to bring in. So leadership is also lacking in that defense, other than the character that I talked about earlier.
Fred, you've mentioned leadership. I'd like to bring this in. When Papa, they call him, Socrates, got injured, that's when the goals started flying in. You have a feel that Socrates has been the only individual in that defense that has managed to at least arrange these players and command these players. Do you feel at that point it was lost?
I think in the early days of the season, Rob Holding was playing that particular role. He was doing so well. But of course, he got injured. We saw the other week Bellerin getting injured as well. And in this particular match, I think you're very, very correct. As soon as Socrates left the pitch, you could see a big void that was left in Arsenal's defense line that couldn't be filled at all. And of course, Koscielny has not been the sharpest ever since he recovered from that particular injury. So again, I think Manchester United started running rampant as soon as Socrates left the pitch. And again, Koscielny in the second half also got an injury. So I think all the injuries that Arsenal has been having have not really been helping their case at all. So in this transfer window, I think their main priority should be to get a central defender.
Let's talk about Sanchez a little bit. Playing very well in sync, the pianist, but performing in this game. I mean, what were the odds that he would pick this game to score a goal?
Well, I think it meant a lot to Sanchez, if you ask me, because one, Arsenal was his former side. So normally, you really want to perform well when you're playing against a team that you're playing for before. And the kind of form that he's been having, excuse me, in the near future is something that I'm sure he really would like to put behind him. So scoring in this particular match is a morale booster to him. And I believe that is going to propel him. He's a player that somehow lacks character, if you ask me, because the kind of form that he had at Arsenal, yes, it might not have been immediate for him to replicate it at Manchester United, but I think it has taken him so long to settle in. It has taken him so long to start showing us the Sanchez that we know.
For a player of his caliber.
A player of his caliber. So that's why I'm talking about character. Because character, yes, it can be built, but for him it takes time. And I think the Manchester has been very patient with this particular player. Mourinho was very patient. He was almost running out of his patience. You realize that towards the end of his reign, he was not fielding him. I like what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is currently doing. I think he gave him time to first of all recollect himself. I think he's done that, and it was a magnificent show. So I believe this is going to help him psychologically as a player, as an individual player. It should help him.
I think the prospect of meeting your former team always,
gives you extra.
It always excites any particular player. And in this particular match, I think Juan Sanchez was looking forward to this particular occasion, and especially the fact that they were playing at the Emirates. I noticed that he did not get a rousing welcome from the fans. I think due to the manner that in which he left the club. But then again, he silenced them with a goal. That's always the best way to silence all the boos, because he was getting a lot of boos every time he touched the ball. I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is doing something that I have not seen a lot of coaches doing, because normally you get players who don't get to play week in, week out, always get disgruntled. Even when they get an opportunity, you don't really get to see them pushing themselves to the brim. But in this particular match, we saw Lukaku, somebody who has been pushed to the periphery, because of course Lukaku, Lingard and Martial and Rashford have been the preferred three strikers in as far as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is concerned. So again, I think I saw a Lukaku that was raring to go. I saw a Sanchez that seemed very, very happy. And once a player is happy, once a player feels appreciated, even though he's not a regular, they're always going to do so well. And I think the fact that there's also a familiarity between these particular players, you get to meet players that you've trained with before, players that you more or less know where their weaknesses are. I think that also spurs a player into doing so well.
It's funny how Solskjaer also, during the build-up to this game, mentioned that I almost hope that Sanchez gets a harsh reception at the Emirates. That can also spice things up and make sure you try and score a goal so that you can shut the crowd up. But speaking of managers, let's have a listen to what Solskjaer and Unai Emery had to say after that match.
A massive step forward for us, performance-wise, as a team. The structure in the team was miles better compared to, say, Tottenham a couple of weeks ago, where we hung in there, where David saved us. Today, obviously, Sergio had a fantastic save just the beginning of the second half, but I thought our structure was miles better. We've been working on that because we need to dig in and defend properly again.
I am happy because our work, I think, is good, but the result is bad. And I think today two things very negative is the result and is the injuries. and they don't help us to be on the match. Maybe with the result when it's 1-2, I think we were in this moment with the possibility to draw and take possibility to win today. But I think these injuries, above all the second with consciently, they didn't help us because the rhythm is going down, and also we need to change the different players for play in the central back. But I think they have been very clinical today, and our moment in attacking, I think we were getting the box, but not creating the last passes, the last action to score. But we were a lot in